What is going on, people? TripleM back again with another video, and today I've decided to do something a little bit different. With the FIFA World Cup quarterfinals officially on the horizon, I thought it would be a great opportunity to preview some of the action over the next few days, talk about which teams I think have a strong chance of progressing through to the World Cup semifinals, as well as the teams that I think will unfortunately go crashing out. And obviously, we've got to start with Argentina and Brazil because they play tomorrow evening against Croatia and Netherlands, respectively. Now, Brazil are a team that a lot of people predicted to win this World Cup before a ball was even kicked. And a lot of people made that prediction just purely based on how they performed in the qualifiers, the fact that they went on an unbeaten run, and also just the sheer amount of attacking talent that they have. And whilst Brazil definitely do have a lot of attacking talent, I think that what's more impressive about them has nothing to do with their individual talent. It's about how they're working as a team. I've been alive for a very long time on this earth, right? 23 years and some change. And I've seen a lot of Brazil teams through the years. Now, when I was a kid, I wasn't very good at analyzing football, so I didn't really pick up on a lot of things that I really have started to pick up on as an adult now. And that is that Brazil, they've always had the talent to win World Cups. They've always had moments where you thought, you know what, this team could go and do something special. But the problem is they never used to play as a team. And what I mean by that is their work rate off the ball used to let them down. A lot of times the front three weren't tracking back. They weren't defending as a team. And as a result, they always used to capitulate when it mattered most in the World Cup. But this time around, they've shown adaptability and they've shown that work ethic, because Brazil had a problem initially with Casemiro operating in this pivot. Whenever he would get pressed, it was very difficult for him to get the ball to Neymar or Paqueta through the middle. So what Brazil would have to do is oftentimes look for overloads out wide and try play on the left or either on the right. And that made them extremely predictable and extremely one-dimensional. Now, the truth is, it didn't really matter because they finished top of their group anyways. But as soon as they came up against a better team, like they are now in Croatia, a lot of people were saying that maybe they're going to struggle because they haven't adapted and they haven't fixed this problem. But to the contrary, Tite, Brazil's manager, has done a very good job of solving that problem, because what Brazil do now is they'll often have either Danilo or Eder Militao tuck into the midfield to give Casemiro an extra option at the base of the pivot, create a back three, which obviously allows them to have this passing option out wide, have this passing option out wide, but also the ability to bypass the press and play through the middle. It also gives Neymar and Paqueta specifically, license to go forward uncontested and uninterrupted. Yes, he still has to come back and defend. Yes, every player in this team still has to work extremely hard off the ball, because that's just the nature of modern football. Forwards have to defend from the front nowadays, and pressing is such a huge part of football. But just them being given the license to go forward makes Brazil that much more dynamic, because they get to play this very strange, I call it a 3-2-2-3. You know, some people call it the WM formation because, you know, if you're a football historian, you'll know exactly, you know, the iconic nature of this football. But anyways, basically the premise is one of the fullbacks will tuck into the midfield to give that extra passing option to help bypass the press. And these three will create like a safety net of sorts. And because Eder Militao isn't really a fullback anyways, this is a little bit more natural for him to tuck in and play very narrow. It gives Rafinha and Vinicius a lot of space to hug the touchline and operate out wide. And obviously, it gives Paqueta and Neymar a chance to operate in this half space and in the central area and sort of switch around with Richarlison. Also, the fact that Richarlison has worked extremely hard, dropping into pockets of space, helping with build up, and allowing Neymar, Paqueta, Rafinha, and Vinicius to take on the responsibilities of sometimes scoring goals, sometimes getting assists, or just holding up the ball so that he can get back into the box. It's made Brazil extremely, extremely dynamic. And that's why I believe Brazil will beat Croatia, and Brazil will obviously go on into the semifinals. And I foolishly didn't predict them to win the tournament. I predicted these guys to win the tournament. And it's interesting because Argentina, similar to Portugal, who we'll get on later on in the video, they get judged on how Messi performs. I've noticed this, right? Amongst casual football fans, a lot of them judge Argentina's performances based on how Messi performs. So basically, if Messi isn't playing that well, then all of a sudden Argentina aren't playing that well. And could it be further from the truth? I actually think that now that Messi is in the twilight of his career, Argentina play more like a team because they're not that over-reliant on Messi. He's almost become a peripheral figure, and I mean that in the most respectable way possible. He's almost become somebody who the attention isn't always on, and because he's still extremely proficient technically and he's still so intelligent in terms of movement off the ball, it kind of negates the lack of pace and the lack of athleticism that he's lost due to being old, right? Because it doesn't matter anymore. He doesn't need to dribble past 3 or 4 players. He has teammates who can play as a team, and all he has to do is find pockets of space and just disrupt the opposition. And on top of that, because he's so good technically, he can score and still produce amazing moments of magic virtually out of nothing, which is what he's done in this World Cup. Even though he hasn't had the best of performances, he's been a very big part of why Argentina progressed through the group stages and subsequently are in the quarterfinals now, because Messi is still capable of producing those moments of magic. It just isn't like a thing that Argentina rely on. Right, Alvarez can score. Martinez, despite the fact that he's been doing his best Lukaku impression, is a very good striker, right? They've got options. Di Maria, yes, he hasn't played particularly well, but he is an option. He is still a threat. He is a player that people have to watch out for. He is a player that people, have to look at. Enzo Fernandez, he's had a magnificent season with Benfica, and he's had a magnificent run with Argentina. They've got options going forward now. It isn't just about Messi. And for the first time, Argentina actually looked like a team, in my humble opinion. So that's why I predicted them to win. Now, obviously, that prediction has looked very shady, especially after the loss against Saudi Arabia, but they're still in the quarterfinals, so I was right. Despite that loss against Saudi Arabia, Argentina are doing A-okay, right? A-okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about Netherlands, right? Because obviously, Netherlands will not be an easy team. LVG, since returning to the Dutch post as Dutch manager, has not lost a single game. And a lot of people have accused Netherlands of being pragmatic, Netherlands of being very boring, but I actually think they're a very good team. And I actually think even though their brand of football isn't very palatable, it's worked for them. Pragmatism works in knockout football. And if you want proof, look at Spain. I know people will say Spain aren't the measuring stick. Spain are by no means the measuring stick of excellence and are not a good example of a team that should be winning things because they've been terrible for so long. But look at the brand of football they play and the quality of play they have. They should have gone through against Morocco, and they didn't, because Morocco were what? Pragmatic. If you want another example, Man City in the Champions League. Man City in the Champions League, they struggle in the Champions League, and they play a similar brand of football to Spain. And the only reason I bring that up is so that people can't say, well, Spain aren't that good anyways. Okay, what about Man City then? Everybody agrees they're the best team in England, right? How come they can't win the Champions League? Partially, it's because of their style of play. I genuinely feel like we haven't seen a team that plays possession-based football that has dominated knockout football in a very long time. The great Barcelona teams were the last to really do it that come to mind. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but pragmatic football works in knockout football. It does. It might not work across a 38-game season because eventually luck will work against you and you're going to need to take control of games and dictate the tempo and take the attacking initiative. But for knockout football, it works. It works perfectly. And being adaptable, being able to change your system, change your structure, and have players who can adapt on the fly and really just wing it against opposition is really, really important. And possession-based football tends to be very rigid, tends to be very disciplined, and doesn't allow for that type of adaptability, in my humble opinion. So, Netherlands, don't count them out. Don't count them out. Even though I predicted Argentina to win the competition, I wouldn't be surprised if they go out to Netherlands, because Netherlands have made it this far, and I'm not shocked that they've made it this far. I expected them to make a quarterfinal. But anyways, let's move on. Let's talk about this guy, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Portugal, because Cristiano Ronaldo, for a lot of people, was either going to have an amazing World Cup or a terrible World Cup. There was no in between. Ronaldo fans were saying that this guy is going to shut people up. After that interview with Manchester United, it's all going to be in the past. It's all going to be a peripheral conversation in the future, because in the future, he's going to win the World Cup. He's going to shut everyone up. He's going to do extremely well. So far, that hasn't happened. And actually, Portugal's best performance has come without Cristiano Ronaldo. And that's very interesting. Now, for me personally, it's not a surprise. I've been saying this for a long time. I've even lost subscribers for saying it. But hopefully people can see now that putting the team first is always best as a manager. And even though Santos might start Cristiano Ronaldo against Morocco, and he might continue to start in the near future for Portugal, I actually think that the reason why Portugal played so well is because they actually had somebody up front who's quick, who's agile, and can actually give them that threat on the break, and can do a lot more than just wait on the edge of the box and try score goals. It's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. It's got nothing to do with Messi and Ronaldo debate. I really don't have time for that. I am too old for Messi and Ronaldo debates. Personally, my GOAT is Ronaldinho anyway, so I don't care about the Messi and Ronaldo debate. This has got nothing to do with that. I just think Ronaldo is past his best, and if Portugal really want to progress in this competition, I made a video earlier in the qualifiers saying that Santos is going to need to put the needs of the team first if he wants to see Portugal go through, and so it's come to pass. Bruno Fernandes is scoring. Diego Dalot is entering Team of the Week every other week in the World Cup. He's doing absolutely magnificently. Plays in the midfield like Bernardo Silva and etc., getting more involved with Portugal. It's not a coincidence, guys. It's not a coincidence. But anyways, let's move on before more people unsubscribe. Let's talk about England, because they play France. And the only reason I want to talk specifically about England is because it would be easy for me to sit here and talk about why France are a great team. I've already done that. So let me actually focus on England, because I feel like England are a weird team. You can't praise England, you can't criticize England, because if you criticize England, there's a cult following around Southgate who will really come after you. If you praise England, there's people out there who will call you delusional. There's people out there who will call you, accuse you of not watching a game. I mean, I literally made a video about England praising them for beating Senegal 3-0 because I genuinely thought that was an impressive win. And a person who I'm actually on good terms with and I quite regularly engage with healthy debates, he said basically, you've missed the first 30 minutes of the game, or you must have missed the first 30 minutes of the game. And it was a bit of banter. He wasn't being serious, but that's the type of attitude that you get from people. Whenever you praise England, people accuse you of not watching football, not knowing what you're on about, not knowing this, not knowing that. They try to downplay the beauty of the result by saying it's just Senegal, it's just Iran, it's just Canada, it's just this, it's just that. They always do that as if it's illegal. It's a crime to praise a team for winning a game of football against the champions of Africa 3-0. You're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to do it. You cannot say that England played well against Senegal. You must qualify that statement by saying they still won't win the World Cup and they're still not good enough. I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that because I am in the minority here, but I'm going to say that England actually have what it takes to win this World Cup. The problem is Gareth Southgate. That's it. That's it. If England had any other manager on the planet with a decent CV and a proven track record of winning trophies and actually could get the best out of those players, I think they would have won the World Cup by now. I genuinely believe that because all my life, England have had great players. When I was growing up, they had Scholes, Lampard, and Gerrard in the same midfield. Rooney up front, Beckham on the wing. All my life, England have been in this golden generation, and for some reason, they haven't been able to win. And when I look through their history of managers that they've hired, it's just become so abundantly clear to me that this approach of relying on conservative managers who play a certain brand of football is what's killing them. And I'm not going to waver from that belief. If it weren't for Gareth Southgate, I would seriously predict England to potentially win this game against France and go on to win the World Cup. But because of him, I'm not going to do that and make myself look like a fool. England will inevitably go crashing out. It's so obvious to anyone with a pair of eyes. And I know that might upset some England fans. Some of you might unsubscribe. Some of you might be very upset. But the truth is the truth. And I can only speak the truth because that's what I genuinely believe. It might not play out like that, but I'm not going to apologize for it if it doesn't. I'm going to say fair play, I got it wrong, but I believed it at the time. But, that won't be necessary because obviously England are going to go out. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup at this point? Have you changed your prediction? Has there been any team that has changed your mind? Oh, by the way, Morocco are still in this as well, And I've predicted Morocco to lose every round and they've gone through. I've predicted Morocco to lose games in the group stages and they finished top of their group. So I think Morocco are going to lose to Portugal. Wink. I think Morocco are going to get destroyed by Portugal. Wink. I think Morocco will never, ever win a World Cup in my lifetime. Wink, wink. Hopefully they do. Peace.